Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Good Tuesday Day, so I hope you're ready for some good news to brighten up your day, brighten up your week, as we cover all the great things humanity can do for each other instead of focusing on all that stuff that is trying to divide us. Ugh, that stuff's so annoying. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news.
Virtual high fives.
Yeah. Comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our news stories 10 to 15 minutes before we've started the show and we haven't had any caffeine. So let's take out all that positive news from our headlines for today's show. Today on Before Coffee, Minister wants to close down companies that exploit migrant workers if necessary in the Netherlands. And Eurostar resumes train to London from major European city, but only for a few weeks.
And this is Roger from the United States, where we're going to school. We have the university that became a sanctuary for hope, and the thank you cards pile up out of nowhere for the school district that received an anonymous donation.
Germany's far-left party sees membership surge before election, and British Columbia's helijet to donate air ambulance to Ukraine.
Our good news on Good Tuesday. Scientists unite to count tiny krill from space to inform on climate change, and publishing giants take on U.S. censorship.
Beyond nostalgia and dreams, capturing immigrant identities and personal objects. I love a good immigrants are people too story.
It's National Make a Friend Day, and it's also National Shut-In Visitation Day. So you know what you can do. Make friend with the shut-in on February 11th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
As a shut-in myself, I'm really happy to have people a day for me so that people can visit me and make me feel, that I exist in the world. Got to turn on my
I want to be shut in. That's my plan.
There we go. A little brighter and shiny morning here. Let's roll our wheel. Yeah, because we've added a new thing to the show where we roll a wheel to decide what segue we're going to make here.
Oh boy, I got to work.
Yep.
Make us work.
You have to use your brain. Watch out. Okay, yeah, I'm rolling the wheel. This is for my story to your story.
Right on. I said, I get to work.
You have to tell a personal story. So.
A personal story related to your.
Yeah. So I'm talking about
stories. I'll wait.
Exploiting migrant workers and the Eurostar trains, so you have some personal stories about at least trains.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if I can think of anything. I'll have to wait and listen to your story first.
Okay. First story is quite short, and it's about migrant workers. Now, if anybody is aware of the political, politics happening in the Netherlands, there's a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment. And this labor inspectorate is actually looking at companies that might be exploiting these immigrants. This is on NOS News. The labor inspectorate must be able to take tough action against employers who exploit migrant workers, writes Minister Van Hayoum in a letter to the lower house. Companies must be able to be closed temporarily if necessary. Van Hayoum mentions a series of examples of serious labor abuses, which often occur in combination. For example, there are employers who underpay migrant workers, make them work long hours, let them stay overnight at the workplace, and confiscate bank cards and passports. That is definitely illegal. Sometimes there's also physical or psychological violence. The Working Conditions Act already provides the option to immediately stop work in the event of serious danger, says Van Hayoum in his letter. He wants this concept to be interpreted more broadly. At present, it only refers to danger to life or immediately imminent danger, like there's a bomb in the building. But as far as he is concerned, it should also include the risk of physical and mental health damage in long term. He will draw up a list for inspection of abuses that could lead to certain activities being stopped or workplaces being closed. In extreme cases, an entire company could be closed after the situation until the situation has improved. They have previously increased fines and, for example, increased the capacity of labor inspectorate, but in the event of serious abuses, it can now also temporarily close companies. Van Hayem said to the Telegraph. According to him, there is a profit model in which profit is made by bringing migrant workers to the Netherlands and have them work and live under miserable conditions, and the minister wants to destroy that concept as even profitable. No profit margin. If you do that, you don't have a company anymore. We close it down. Now you're making zero money. The lower house, which has repeatedly asked for abuses to be addressed, will debate Van Hayem's proposal letter. Since the beginning of this month, companies have already been given higher fines if they employ migrant workers without permits. So hopefully this is punishing the employers more than punishing the people being employed, because nothing worse than people who are already down on their luck, right? That's the reason they're being abused to begin with. And then they get even worse on their luck. In traveling news, passengers can travel from the UK capital to the Netherlands and Brussels for the next 8 months, which is, they said, well, they haven't been able to do that for the last 8 months. This is from Neil Lansfield.
It's not that far.
Yeah, but just think about it. You used to be able to go from London to Amsterdam for years, and suddenly they take it away. There's people who do that. That's all. There's people who are using that. They had to go all the way to Brussels instead, and then go to London. So you're in the Netherlands. Instead of going simply to Amsterdam, you have to go all the way to a different country to travel to London. That's all. It's just they took away that right because of the border. This is from Neil Lansfield and Amelia Neath on The Independent. Eurostar has resumed running direct services from Amsterdam and Rotterdam to London after an 8-month suspension while a new terminal was built. Since June 2024, passengers traveling from the Dutch capital to London needed to take a train to Brussels, where they would pass through border checks before changing to a Eurostar service. A new terminal at Amsterdam Central Station, creating more space for UK-bound passengers, opened on Monday 10th February, enabling Eurostar to reintroduce direct departures. It is now running 3 daily return services between London and Amsterdam on weekdays and Sundays, with 2 on Saturdays. The company's ambition is for this to increase to 5 by 2026. However, the high-speed rail operator said that this will only be a temporary restart, as the service will then close again on the 29th of March for essential works at Amsterdam Central. Man, they're always working on that station. Eurostar said that the direct service will resume once more at the end of April 2025 for both Rotterdam and Amsterdam. To be fair, nobody's really traveling around in March and April, so that's probably why they're doing the work. And then in the summer, people will be able to travel freely to London directly from Amsterdam instead of having to go all the way to Brussels. Those traveling the other way from London to the Netherlands can still access direct services, which take around 3 hours and 52 minutes. So fast. The new terminal means the maximum number of passengers leaving Amsterdam on each service can increase by 10% to 400. This will reach 650 by September, especially after that summer rush. Gwendolyn Casanave, Eurostar's chief executive, said, "We are delighted to direct Eurostar services between Amsterdam and London now back. This is more than just a train journey. It is a seamless connection between 2 vibrant capitals, offering our customers an efficient, comfortable, and sustainable way to travel." Eurostar is proud to unveil the state-of-the-art terminal, reinforcing our commitment to providing a seamless, sustainable travel experience. And that's really why I care about this, because I like trains, not only as a traveling medium, but for the environment, really. How many people can fit on a train that are not on the road for 3 hours or more, right? It's just better for the environment to just use trains. Especially if you can get the train to run on green energy, it's even better. So I'm all for easy access to mass transit, especially global transit across many different countries. Because I believe the Eurostar also stops. It can stop in Paris. Maybe it doesn't. No, I think it can stop in Paris too. So, but the problem was always Brexit, right? You couldn't travel to London anymore because we need to build a freaking terminal to make sure we check everyone's passports because Brexit happened. So that's kind of why it stopped. And the Netherlands was like, I guess being stubborn. They're like, nah, they'll take it back, right?
Right.
They're not really doing Brexit. No, they're really doing Brexit. Okay, we'll build the freaking terminal.
This is
Give us a
temporary,
year.
right? Guys?
Give us 8
You
months.
just
We'll build the
do.
terminal. The tripling of capacity of the Netherlands-UK route is a step one in a broader strategy to increase Eurostar's network for customers all across Europe. Sima Malhotra, the UK migration minister, said, "Working closely with our European neighbours is a priority for this government as we continue to ensure seamless passenger travel for those travelling to and from the UK while protecting our borders from those business people, mostly business people who travel to London and Amsterdam. I am pleased to reinstate of the reinstatement of the direct Eurostar connection to London from the Netherlands. A hard work UK border force officers based in the Netherlands will ensure that our border security remains robust." So there's good news for you guys. We've got migrants being protected in the Netherlands, and now you can travel back to London, which I have taken the Eurostar to London. Very nice. And yeah, it was a shame that it got taken away for 8 months, but it's back at least until April when it March when it leaves again, and it'll be back in April.
And my personal story would be, well, as we'll do them in backwards order, as a train thing first. I remember, like, trains being late is always a tough one because they put you in a bind because of their schedule, right? You got to get off this train. We're stopped now. You got 30 seconds to get off this train or we're going, right? And that experienced me almost got caught in the train door.
Yeah.
Because I went back to get my trash. I went back to my trash at the seat like a conscientious passenger. And they almost didn't let me get off. I swear they gave us 30 seconds because they were running 45 minutes late.
Yeah.
So that wasn't in Belgium. That was somewhere in Germany.
It was Germany.
But
Germany is always running late.
Either way.
That's a joke about German trains.
Yeah, either way, the trains, you're on that train schedule. They don't give a shit. They close you in the door. They don't care if you miss your stop. They're going because they're late. And they got a schedule that they're way behind, which makes sense. But man, you better be on your toes. And the other story about migrants is I used to work on the border a number of years ago, and we used to go and put these temporary repeaters up on towers wherever we could get space. One time we were at this ranch, and we got there early in the morning, and I opened the shelter to put the equipment that we're going to put the equipment in, and there's a guy sleeping in the shelter.
Really?
And buenos dias, and give him some water, and he said, and a rancher came out with his truck, and he had 2 other dudes on the back of his truck, and he said, "Oh, he found another one." And yeah, they just, they take him to the border patrol. But they just sat there, 3 guys just sitting there drinking water, watching us work all day.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's my personal stories.
Woohoo! All right, let me roll the wheel for myself real quick, so I know what to make for my segue. I have to do a mixed metaphor, and onto your story.
Ooh, a mixed metaphor. All right, we got mixed stories, so it'll be easy to mix the metaphor, I think. The university became a sanctuary from hope. This is from Positive.News. Robin Edelai. For scholars and human rights defenders from across the world, the University of York is offering a rare refuge where they can study in safety. After suffering years of harassment and arbitrary arrest, the news gave Somali journalist and human rights activist Abdeli Mumin a rare jolt of optimism. He'd been awarded a research fellowship at the University of York, 4,000 miles away, a fresh start back and free from the persecution that dodged his outspoken reporting. Now, only the small matter of a prison cell door stood between him and the safe haven in the UK. I immediately thought, how am I going to get out of this jail, Moomin recalls. I was even thinking of sneaking out at night, but it's too risky. They would have shot me. Moomin is one of dozens of human rights defenders, persecuted academics, and asylum-seeking students to find refuge, community, and academic freedom with the backing of the University of York. Find out more about York's Sanctuary Fund. The New York Sanctuary Fund responds to the huge challenges faced by students, academics, and human rights defenders from around the world. Your support can help build a sustainable package of support for people seeking a sanctuary. That's like a little ad for them. And it says, find out more, and there's a link you can click. Marking its second anniversary in March 2025, the university's Sanctuary Fund builds on a 15-year commitment to providing international scholarships with not only a safe place to learn, but also the confidence to bring their newfound skills to bear on the world stage. Hailing from places of conflict and danger across the planet, they are now global policymakers, human rights lawyers, medics, and change makers of the future. For these people, the fund is literally a lifeline, said the university's philanthropy manager, Kelly Karamari, not squid, not calamari, Karamari. It's not just about getting a bachelor's or master's degree or spending 6 months in here on a research project. It's about hope, a new perspective and new horizons. It's about feeling supported and feeling alone. It's about feeling supported and not feeling alone, Mumin's dedication to media freedom had made him a target for Somali intelligence services. His latest stay in Mogadishu's central prison followed months of intimidation and nightmarish 3 days in the infamous Gadka Jila Ao underground detention center. It would be another month before he was finally released, and it would take an Amnesty International escort to see him safely to his plane bound for Manchester. And there's a picture of him. He's got a big old smile on his face. Sanctuary in the UK came courtesy of the university's Center for Applied Human Rights, a unique initiative that has been awarding protected fellowships to human rights defenders since 2008. Working with other international fellows, Newman has used his time here to build a database of human rights violations involving journalists. He dived headfirst into master's level lectures on law and politics, networked relentlessly, and brushed up on his presentation skills. He still heads up the Somali Journalist Syndicate, a union of reporters who focus on exposing government corruption. The fellowship saved my life and the lives of my wife and children, he says. I don't know what would have happened to me without it. Now that I'm in a safe location, I continue my work as a journalist without fear of reprisals. And a picture of his wife. Long-term crises have driven the global number of displaced individuals to more than 89 million. While 40% of people worldwide have access to higher education, only 6% of refugees share the same opportunity. Sayed Nasratullah Hashmi fled his native home in Afghanistan after the fall of Kabul in 2021. His family's political leanings and long history of working with peacekeeping organizations placed him in the crosshairs of the Taliban regime. Hashmi, a civil engineering graduate, had spent 6 years applying to universities overseas before landing an equal access scholarship from York, a breakthrough that proved pivotal. He graduated in January with a master's degree in conflict, governance, and development and hopes to stick around long enough to gain a PhD. In the meantime, he's working as an interpreter for the City of York Council, helping new refugees settle in. The Sanctuary Fund was once a lifetime chance, he says. The University of York and the City of York made me believe there really is a world of opportunity. Longer term, he hopes to put his studies to good use in humanitarian efforts back home. I have to get back to Afghanistan, but my goal is not only for Afghanistan, it's for all of humanity. We have to work with each other, he says. Fauzia Insani, another Afghan to benefit from an equal access scholarship, has her sights set even higher. After studying post-conflict development to PhD level, she's aiming for a worldwide peace. It might be a little ambitious, she admits, but this scholarship has a ripple effect that extends far beyond its recipients. It positions us to contribute to state building and development in our countries of origin when circumstances allow. It not only transforms our lives, but also the potential to influence the future of entire communities and nations. So there's your shortened, truncated news, because it goes on for a little bit longer than it said it was going to. And we're going to go back to another school. This is a school that got a donation. This is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network.
Wait here, let me do a segue. You're really taking the bull by the horns in a slippery slope to human rights.
Mixing the metaphors with the old slippery slope. Oh, yes. All right, speaking of humans go to school. And thank you cards pile up with nowhere to go after school district receives anonymous transformative donation. This is from Andy Corbley, as I said. As the hours ticked by, Superintendent Joseph Hattrick was flummoxed by the sheer number of cards and papers lined with cutout hearts and birds colored all over with heart-filled messages. Hundreds began to pile up in his office, all saying the same thing. Thank you, whoever you are. The Ashland Schools Foundation was recently shocked when they were asked to oversee an $890,000 donation from an anonymous benefactor on behalf of Ashland School District in Oregon. If you want to send your kids to a school that's rich, send them that one, I guess. The foundation works through fundraising to provide schools with enriching programs, events, and activities, but the district itself faces a financial crisis and meteor staffing shortages beyond the nonprofit's ability to address. $850,000 of the donation is thusly going towards the district budget, and $40,000 is going towards student affinity groups, which help foster a sense of belonging for all students. The extraordinary act of generosity demonstrates the profound impact that community members can have on public education, says Erica Thompson, Executive Director of the Ashland Schools Foundation. The donor was moved to action after reading about our district's challenges in Ashland. Challenges in Ashland. News and recognized for our foundation as a trusted partner to facilitate their support while maintaining anonymity. That was a weird sentence. Students of all ages across the district have written hundreds of heartfelt thank you cards to express their appreciation to the anonymous donor, with more continuing to arrive daily. Collecting the thank you cards was incredibly heartwarming, said Hattrick in a statement. Students expressed to me that they were amazed at how generous the donor was and that they want to do nice things for other people just like the donor did. I have heard stories from classroom teachers and community members of random acts of kindness they have witnessed as a result of the example this donor has made. I would love to see random acts of kindness spread throughout our community that can be attributed to what was started here. So there's your good news from schools.
I love school good news.
One in the UK and one in the USA.
And you know what they say? You can't make an omelet without a nest egg.
That's true. Quite true. Well,
that money there, the finances they were getting was a nest egg. Yeah. All right, let's roll the wheel here for your segue.
All right, let's segue.
A non sequitur. There you go.
Oh, that's easy.
Okay.
All right.
So, for my story, we're going to talk about Germany and also Ukraine. First story is coming from Politico by Chris Lundy out of Berlin. The left party is experiencing an unexpected momentum boost less than 2 weeks before the Germany's national election. Nearly 23,500 people have joined the far-left party since the start of the year, which has only been a month, really. Like, this month isn't even done yet. Like, yep, we've already boosted the numbers in a month.
Like a third of the way through.
Yep. According to figures first reported by Der Spiegel, pushing its total to a record 81,200, the highest membership since 2009. I was still in high school when it was that high. The rise comes as left-wing voters mobilize against what they see as a growing whiteward shift in German politics. People want a fairer, more just policy, said the left co-chair Jan van Aken. They know that they can rely on us. Party leaders say the influx reflects growing concerns over the political direction of the country as conservative forces gain ground ahead of February 23rd, which is the election date. The new members skew younger and more female, potentially giving the party a fresh boost among progressive voters. The average age of recent recruits is 29, and 53% of them are women, shifting the party's overall demographics to an average of 43 and 42% female membership share, according to Tagesspiegel. The left, which has faced interval division and weak polling in recent years, hopes this late surge will translate into electoral gains. I mean, nothing would make me happier than a similar UK triumph, right? The UK finally broke its Tory dictatorship of 12 years, and it'd be very interesting to see Germany get something similar to that. They don't have a two-party system as far as I know, so they won't get the same thing as that. But, a huge left bloc that can argue for the things people want is what the goal is right now. Recently, the left has regained traction in polls, averaging 5%, which would be enough to meet the threshold to keep the party in the Bundestag. But its path remains uncertain. The party faces competition from the newly formed left populist Sahara Wagenknecht Alliance, BSW, and must convince voters it can offer a credible alternative on the national stage. What does the Wagenknecht Alliance stand for?
I don't
know. I'm looking it up right now. Reason and justice in a political. Okay, so that's what that's what they stand for. Reason and justice. I don't know what that. They're nationalistic, socialist, and Eurosceptic. So I don't like them very much because I don't like nationalist parties and I don't like Eurosceptic parties. So I hope they don't get any traction and they don't get that 5% necessary to stay in the Bundestag. In Ukraine news, we have stuff from Canada helping out people in Ukraine. This is on the Canadian press. I don't think it's written by anybody. It's just from the Canadian press. Shortly after Russia attacked Ukraine almost 3 years ago, Danny Sitnam allowed a Ukrainian couple and their baby to stay in his family cottage. Sitnam, who's the CEO of helicopter service Helijet, said on Monday, the 10th of February, during that time, they had become friends with the family and those at Maple Hope Foundation, a group that has provided help to Ukrainians since 2014. Yeah, that's before the, what do you call it? I was going to say assassination. It's another A word. Crimea, when they took Crimea, when they're like, this is Crimea, is ours now. Can't remember the word.
Annexation?
Annexation, yes. The annexation of Crimea. So they've been helping Ukraine since before that. It's what started the idea rolling to donate a full operation medical helicopter for humanitarian use in Ukraine, he said. It's really important in the sense of giving back to such a desperate situation that's going on in Ukraine, Sitnam said. Helijet said in a statement it had agreed with a consortium of Canadian and Ukrainian non-governmental organizations to deliver the Sikorsky Air Ambulance, which was previously contracted to British Columbia Ministry of Health. We just felt it was the right thing to do, to see if we could support it in a bigger way, and eventually this came to the culmination of giving an aircraft and supporting wounded soldiers and so forth, said Sitnam. He said the whole project would cost between $500,000 to $1 million. Sitnam said his family, I don't know if that's Canadian dollars or US dollars. I think it's US dollars. Sitnam said his family felt compelled to further contribute after spending time with a Ukrainian family. Supporting them was just the start of a commitment we made at Helijet to help Maple Hope Foundation as the unrelenting struggle with Russia continues for the people of Ukraine, he said while standing in front of a helicopter draped with both Canadian and Ukrainian flags. The Sikorsky S-76A is a fully equipped air medical helicopter that Helijet had previously provided under contract to British Columbia's Ministry of Health for patient transport, and while it's recently been taken out of service, the statement says the chopper still has years of flight capability remaining. Yeah, they're not taking out of the sky because it's dangerous. It's still useful, guys. I guess they just got another offer. They're like, we want to change our helicopter to this one instead because it has more room in the back. I don't know. Sitnam said the helicopter will be dismantled and driven to Calgary, where it will be loaded on a 747 cargo aircraft and flown to Luxembourg. The helicopter will be transported on the ground to Kyiv, Ukraine, and is expected to be put in use by at least March 15th. Svitlana Fomenko, co-founder and CEO of Maple Hope Foundation, said her foundation started a crowdfunding campaign to help facilitate the donation by raising more than $100,000 to move the aircraft to Ukraine. Helijet and Maple Hope Foundation have also been working with the group Unite with Ukraine for more than 8 months to arrange the shipment of the helicopter. So this has been a long-going plan, and it's finally getting to that first stage where they take it apart and put it on an airplane. Kuminko said she received overwhelming feedback from the Ukrainian community when she shared the news with them. Wow, a helicopter. Next will be a spaceship, laughed Kuminko. Kuminko said the donation will save lives. I mean, yeah, just send us into the moon. I don't know what they would do.
That's the next obvious step.
Yeah. Kuminko said that this donation will save lives, and as it sends out a strong message to the people of Ukraine that while these people are far away, they care and they want to help. Well, Canadians have always been like that. She said it's also a good reminder to people that war isn't over. Russia continues to attack villages, residential buildings, and schools and hospitals. Yeah, just because everyone's talking about Trump and the bullshit he's saying doesn't mean Ukraine has stopped, okay? And that's why I keep on talking about Ukraine on this show, because I want people to remember it's still happening. They haven't given up yet, and they're not going to, I think, until they all kick the bucket. Kuminko was recently in Ukraine to visit her mother and said people are still dying. They are killed in their beds every day. Where we were in Ukraine in December, the sirens are every day and you have to hide. You need to find a place. Your heart, your mind isn't at peace, she said. Maple Hill Foundation and Helijet hosted 2 pilots and 2 engineers from Ukraine in November for flight and maintenance training in preparation for the helicopter's move to Ukraine. So they've already got people waiting there to rebuild it. Helijet said in a statement that the helicopter will be delivered on the condition that it is used solely for non-commercial, humanitarian, and medical evacuation missions for airlifting people needing urgent medical attention. I mean, I guess you could put some bombs on it or something. You could throw bombs out of it, but they don't want you to do that. So please don't put bombs on the Helijet and throw it at people.
That's why they put a big red cross on the side.
Yeah, and they'll still get shot down by some idiot Russian guy who, I mean, they don't care about.
Oh yeah, they knock civilian aircraft out of the air. So
yeah. But those are my stories.
Oh yes, and time for my non sequitur. Speaking of the ocean. Scientists unite to count tiny krill from space to inform climate change and fishing regulations. There's your non sequitur.
Totally.
This is from goodnewsnetwork.org. And do you want to spin the wheel for your
I'll
challenge?
Spin the wheel. I always hope not to get. I really hope not to get limerick because I don't want to write a limerick. I got personal story.
All right, personal story. Okay, we got 2 stories.
Easy because I always share a personal story every time.
You got a story about
that's my go-to segue is a personal story.
Okay. All right. Scientists unite to count tiny krill. This is from Andy Corbley of the Good News Network. An international satellite monitoring collaboration is being formed to track the population of a keystone species in the waters around Antarctica, aimed at providing sophistication and accurate data to help inform decisions about fishing and the Southern Ocean. It will use changes in the degree of red coloration detected by satellites to track its quarry, a tiny shrimp smaller than your pinky finger. Krill anchor the marine food web by feeding dozens of major species like humpback and blue whales, squids and other cephalopods, and penguins, and they school in such large numbers that they can actually color the blue waters of the Earth red when seen from space. During peak periods of population, you can find 10,000 krill per cubic meter of water. The unique Krill from Space project was launched in the 26th edition of the Convention for the Signatories of the Paris Climate Agreement, known as COP, in Baku, Azerbaijan. The World Wildlife Fund, the University of Strathclyde, and the British Antarctic Survey all joining forces to help establish a space-based krill monitoring program. We start with seawater, then we add krill and take a measurement of how much light the water absorbs. Then we add another krill and take another measurement, said Dr. Kate McCary from the University of Strathclyde, who recently returned from an expedition to the Southern Ocean to gather these measurements. With sea ice declining and industrial fishing growing, we urgently need better manage the fishery and protect krill habitats within a network of marine protected areas, said Rod Downey, Chief Polar Advisor for the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, UK. Krill from space may give us a new tool to help monitor and safeguard this vital species. Though krill are small, they are suspected to play a large role in maintaining the carbon cycle of the oceans by feeding on phytoplankton, which absorbs CO2, and then depositing that CO2 in their droppings to the ocean floor. This downcycling system is estimated to sequester 300,000 metric tons of carbon into Davy Jones' locker, the equivalent of the entire daily emissions of the United Kingdom. Oceanographic magazine reports that while sea temperatures rise and Antarctic krill nurseries lose their protective sea ice, their populations are shrinking and shifting south. This is a groundbreaking effort to develop a new way of monitoring krill swarms on the surface where they are known to occur in huge patches that are important feeding grounds for whales and other important marine species, says Dr. David McKee, a reader in the Department of Physics at Strathclyde. I'm not sure he's a doctor. I may have awarded him a title he doesn't have. We are delighted to be partnering with the WWF and the BAS on this project. In time, we hope to be able to support international conservation and sustainable management of this most important Antarctic species. So, do you have a personal story, or do you want me to keep going?
I have a personal story about Arctic fish. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, let's go to the next story. You'll think of something.
Yeah.
This is from Positive.news, is our other source today. Publishing giants took a stand against censorship in the U.S. Oh yeah, the U.S. is being taken over by the Project 2025 people who have decided everything's pornography. So they're going to ban it. You just wait. They're going to be banning pornography and wait for all you poor bastages who voted for Trump going, hey, where's my porn? It's gone. It's been banned. Anyway, publishing giants took a stand against censorship in the U.S. Leading publishers, libraries, and writers organizations in the U.S. have joined forces on the side to sue the state of Idaho. That figures nobody lives in Idaho, so let's ban books. There's 12 people live here. I'm exaggerating. Under 18 are forbidden from accessing harmful, whatever that means, content and obscene materials, whatever that means, in schools and libraries under HB 710, which came into force last July. The ban includes books with sexual conduct and nudity. No, how do books have nudity? Unless they have pictures.
I'm not sure. Maybe pictures of
her dress.
Maybe pictures of ancient art or whatever, and where they didn't care about nudity.
I guess they're talking about nudity. I have no idea. The ban includes books with sexual conduct and nudity, meaning modern classics such as Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, which doesn't have pictures. The Handmaid's Tale and bestsellers including Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin have vanished from the shelves entirely or been moved to adult-only sections. The Big Five publishers, Penguin Random House, Hachette Back Book Group, HarperCollins, Macmillan Publishers, and Simon & Schuster filed a lawsuit on Tuesday challenging the measure. Parents, students, writers, and teachers have joined the campaign alongside the Authors Guild and Idaho's Donnelly Public Library District. Attorney General CEO Mary Rosenberger criticized the ban for explicitly targeting LGBTQ plus content. The law doesn't just chill free speech, it freezes it solid, she said. Did I say AG? AG CEO, AG. That doesn't stand for Attorney General.
Yeah.
The law doesn't just chill free speech, it freezes it cold. We will not stand by while Idaho effectively criminalizes important works of literature and diminishes the fundamental right of young people to read and learn. Yeah, young people, let's protect them from knowledge. Anyway, there's your stories. And we need a personal anecdote.
Well, this reminds me of one of my favorite books I had to read in AP Literature, which was Fahrenheit 451, which is all about...
Which is about banning.
A dystopian future where instead of firefighters fighting fires, they're the ones burning people's books. And this firefighter basically learns that, he's the baddie. And it kind of ends on, I want to say a bittersweet note. not to spoil the plot of the book, but he learns to not be part of the system that is, and I really enjoyed that story, and that's probably one of the first books that radicalized me, and I can understand why right now people are trying to censor books and stuff like that, because you can't radicalize children if they never learn anything different. So.
My favorite way to ban books is say, "Did you know that author was a communist?" And I'm like, "So fucking what? He's a good writer. Who gives a shit?" You know, like, "Oh, we're gonna ban this book." Like, why?
Yeah, I don't know.
What? Okay, whatever, morons. Banning thought. Yeah. All right, spin the wheel.
Let's spin the wheel for your segue here. We're going back and forth here. We've got a mixed metaphor. That's what you'll have to do.
That's what we've got. We got another mixed metaphor. All right.
Yep. So my story, my culture segment here, is about nostalgia and dreams, and we're humanizing immigrants. I love reminding everyone that immigrants are people too, and they're just as human as you and me, and they deserve to be on this planet in any country they want to be in. Okay? This is Brianna Ellis Gibbs on The Guardian. With his new show, Yusuf Ahmed is challenging traditional expectations of who belongs in the narrative of American history. Yes, that's right. The country of immigrants has always conveniently left out some immigrants from history. Beyond Nostalgia and Dreams showcases Ahmed's breathtaking photographs that explore the identities of young Black, brown, and queer adults through the use of objects of their choosing that represents their personal history and resilience. It's a direct act of defiance against efforts by convict Trump administered to erase marginalized communities from history through the banning of DEI and Black history in the federal workplace. We're looking at an administration that's trying to distort history, suppress the archives, or remove and display any display or representation of our identities, Ahmed says. I think it's important, especially here in the US, to continue pushing the message forward that we exist, that our lives are expansive, and that we hold so many different identities. Ahmed has embodied many identities. He was born in Ethiopia and later moved to Kenya between the ages of 5 and 10. After living in Kenya, his family came to the United States, where he grew up in Ohio and now resides in Harlem, New York. Boy, Ohio and New York, that's crazy. Migrating, that's as crazy as Kenya and Ethiopia. Migrating from one place to another, Ahmed has learned to assess which belongings to keep and which to leave behind. During his journeys, one item he never went without was his archive of the more than 300 images he made of his sister when he was 11. When he was moved to the US, Ahmed brought a disposable camera and photographed his sister, his first encounter with photographs. But it wasn't until years later in a photography class in college that he realized his passion for imaging. The importance of his sister's pictures inspired Beyond Nostalgia and Dreams, and Ahmed hopes the exhibit will invoke a sense of nostalgia for viewers to forge a deeper connection with its subjects through a sentimental aesthetic of medium format film. Abby, one of Ahmed's subjects, is photographed with a photo album he carried when he left Ethiopia after being adopted by a French family. The album, which includes an image of his mom, died, became the only object he had to validate his childhood in Ethiopia. Growing up, Abby's adopted family refused to teach him about his family and heritage in Ethiopia, telling him he was too young to remember his time there and that he had made up his memories of home. Ahmed said having that album for him was powerful because it validated that what he imagined was in fact true. Ahmed's quiet, poetic image reshapes history for Abby, serving as a tool to resist his adopted family's attempt to erase his history. Ahmed's picture brings the viewer into a personal moment of reflection for Abby, whose story reminds Ahmed of people who have used photography to deny Black and brown people their personhood by portraying them in public forums and in schools in humanizing ways. Abby's story is an example of how Ahmed has used photos to create portraits rooted in love that become living records of his subject's existence. The series also sheds light on the daily struggles of queer people in Africa, experiences often overlooked in mainstream conversations. Marudi, a transgendered woman, is photographed with a charm she wore to rebel against Muslim men's culture that prevented her from wearing jewelry in Kenya. Before she transitioned and moved to Ohio, she often hid her jewelry under a shirt whenever she went outside. In Ahmed's simplistic yet striking image of Marodi, she sits on her bed with the charm on her with the charm on her arm below her tattoo of a woman's body. Through the shadowy lighting of her body, the photograph encapsulates the darkness she experienced and the hopes she has now. With the photo, Ahmed aims to place queer African people in everyday conversations they are often left out of. People erase queer Africans out of the narrative, he says. It's critical for the archives to include the complexity of our lives. When imagining a self-portrait in the series, Ahmed says he would photograph himself surrounded by images he made during his childhood and his sister because his photos serve as a reminder of the importance of documenting ourselves. History hasn't been great or kind to many of us, and it's important to romanticize and remember the parts of history that so many people hold dear to themselves. You can find Yusuf Ahmed's Between Nostalgia and Dreams on show at the African Center in New York until April 27th. So, would like to experience the African immigrant experience and the queer identity and even this kind of adoptee trauma, right? You don't remember what it's like to be Ethiopian, so we're not going to teach you what it's like. I think that should be illegal. Because usually when you get adopted, there's a caseworker who works on your file to make sure, everything's going well. And I think you should not be allowed to adopt any child if you're going to deny their historical background and their cultural background and where they came from. Because they're going to have some serious trauma later in life. They're going to have to go to therapy later. You're saving a lot on therapy bills.
All right.
Yeah. Well, there's my culture story coming out of immigrants in the U.S. from Africa.
Right on. Well, there's typically immigrants are described as being a flood of immigrants, but This immigrant sees it, that glass is half full. So
that was very
there's
good.
your mixed metaphor. I did send you a video. You want to start at 40 seconds?
Yeah.
For when the music starts and the singing starts. The music stops and the singing starts. And we're going to get on to this day in history. We're going to spin the wheel one more time.
All right. Spin the wheel.
Right. We're going to do a non sequitur this day in history.
No. It was close, but it ended up being bad pun. So.
Bad pun.
The easiest of segues.
Bad pun time. All right. In this day in history, 1753, the Pennsylvania Hospital, the first hospital in the United States, began admitting patients. It was co-founded by Benjamin Franklin. There's a guy who just did a lot, just didn't sit around and do nothing. He was founding hospitals. 1847, American inventor Thomas Edison, who singly or jointly held a world record of 1,093 patents and who played a critical role in introducing the modern age of electricity, was born. You notice how they don't say he invented anything anymore because he paid people to invent stuff, right? He took credit for it. In 1929, Benito Mussolini of Italy and Pietro Gasparri of the Vatican signed the Lateran Treaty, recognizing papal sovereignty over the Vatican City and enclave in Rome. Well, that was nice of old fascist Benito to do that in 1929. Also on this day in 1929, a committee met in Paris to devise the Young Plan, a revision of the Dawes Plan of 1924 that negotiated Germany's reparations for World War I, which I don't think they ever paid. They just said, fuck it, we'll start World War II. 1945, the Alta Conference between the Allied leaders of World War II came to a close, and they all exchanged hats. I made that part up.
I don't think so.
1964 is Sarah Palin. What's that?
I wish they just exchanged hats and it was over with.
They exchange hats. That's a nice hat. You could wear my pork pie. 1964 is the birthday of Sarah Palin, who once ran for vice president, one of the dimmest people on the planet. 1969, American actress Jennifer Aniston, which you starred on the popular television show Friends, was born. So happy birthday to Jennifer Aniston, born in 1969. 1975, British politician Margaret Thatcher was elected leader of the Conservative Party, replacing Edward Heath. She became Europe's first woman prime minister in 1979. And Edward Heath became a footnote, I guess. Although he is mentioned in that song Taxman by the Beatles. 1989, the Reverend Barbara Harris of the Protestant Episcopal Church became the first female bishop in the Anglican Communion. So good for her. Worship that God however you feel like. 1990, on this day, the Mandela effect, which I don't understand why people thought he died in prison. I never understood that because he became president of the country. But anyway, after serving 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela was released, and he subsequently began negotiations with President F.W. de Klerk that ended apartheid in South Africa. And of course, now we got Dingleberry, Apartheid Clyde, bringing it to the United States every way he can by erasing people's lives from records, as we talked about before. That's Apartheid Clyde being all that bullshit. Yep, let's go ahead and pretend shit didn't happen again. Like we're all going to bury our heads in the sand. 2011, Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak stepped down after nearly 30 years in power, following a mass demonstrations that were part of the pro-democracy uprisings known as the Arab Spring. Let me tell you, if somebody's in power for 30 years, you don't have a democracy.
No.
You have a king. In 2012, Whitney Houston passed away at the age of 48. American rhythm and blues singer Whitney Houston has emerged as a pop superstar in the 1980s, especially known for her soaring voice. Died alone in a bathtub of an overdose. Because, well, let's go ahead and blame Bobby Brown, her husband, because Bobby Brown, her husband, got her hooked on drugs, and of course their daughter also died young, had a lot of drug problems, so sad day. Sad day. 1858 isn't our featured event, and that is the St. Bernadette's first visions of Mary at Lourdes. All right. On this day in 1858, in Lourdes, France, 14-year-old Bernadette Sobrieures, a miller's daughter, first had visions of Virgin Mary that were authenticated by Pope Pius IX in 1862, initiating the cult of Our Lady of Lourdes. Of course, she was probably just inhaling natural gas and hallucinating, but, whatever. People will see what they want to see and believe what they want to believe. That is one of your lessons in life. You cannot ever convince a true believer that they're wrong because they don't need proof, right?
No.
Featured biography is René Descartes, French mathematician and philosopher, born on March 31, 1596, La Haye, France. Isn't it Descartes, or how you pronounce it, who said, I think, therefore I am? I think he's the one that said that.
I thought that was a different person, but maybe.
Well, we can look it up during the break. He was born on March 31st, 1596. He died on this day in 1650 at the age of 53 in Stockholm. So what are the days is it?
You were correct.
Birthdays. We got birthdays today.
You did say, I think, therefore I am. That's his favorite. That's his famous line. So you're correct.
Woo-hoo! Who said free will is an illusion? I was going to say that too, but I don't think he said that. 1915, Richard Wellesley Hamming, American mathematician. That sounds like a British name, doesn't it? Richard Wesley Hamming. That sounds definitely British, but he's an American mathematician. 1953, Jeb Bush, American politician, son of a president, born in 1953, yes. And 64, we covered Sarah Palin, we covered Jennifer Aniston. It's Damian Lewis, his birthday, the British actor, born in 1971. And it's 8 things today, so we're going to count them off. It's National Safer Internet Day in the U.S., so Safer Internet Day. Don't get hacked. Don't fall for that phishing scheme. It's National Make a Friend Day. And it's got a picture of dogs and cats. So there's your friends, your real friends. They'll never let you down. Maybe the cat will, but the dog won't. National Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk Day. Another picture of a dog licking up the spilled milk. Anyway. And National White Shirt T-Shirt Day. So don't spill milk on your shirt. And even if you do, don't cry over it.
And nobody will notice.
It's also National Shut-In Visitation Day, which has to do with our mic drop today. It's a shut-in, man. People are lonely. Their kids are grown. Maybe their kids are even gone, right? They're just alone and nobody's visiting. And it's like, look at the pictures on the wall. Look at, my horrible TV shows I'm stuck watching, And it's National Peppermint Patty Day. Peppermint patty. The candy that's chocolate and peppermint and just goodness. It's National Inventors Day. It probably has to do with Mr. Edison. And it's National Guitar Day. So I can get my national guitar out, not my international guitar. But it's National Guitar Day. So it's time to pick on something besides my nose. So those are everything for February 11th, 2025. On before, what kind of food do we have? On before peppermint patties.
Well, I've got to say, living alone, not even with a cat or a dog, must be rough. There's your bad pun.
Man, that's bad.
Okay.
That's really bad.
And we are going to cover quickly our international UN observances, which we have, I think, one today. Building a future for women in science. That's right. Not only men can use their brain, but women can too. In 2022 study found that 1 in 2 female scientists have reported experiencing sexual harassment at work. A shift in the structure and culture of science workplaces is urgently needed. As women advance in their scientific careers, the gender gap continues to widen. In research management structures, the proportion of women in senior positions remains disproportionately low. So take today's UN observance and celebrate all those women in STEM careers in science and give them the boost they need to raise their voice higher, because everyone has something to provide to the human race, right? It's not just men, but women and girls in science can also provide.
There's a complaint that STEM has only made it worse. That's the complaint, because men gravitated towards those programs.
It's because as a girl growing up, I definitely was not pushed to do that kind of stuff. Let's say that, right? Where it was expected of men to go into very high thinking positions. Women were expected to just get married and have children. And even though by that time in like 2008 or whatever, you could not have a one job family unless you're really making a lot of bank, right? Everyone had to have a job. So
and the complaint about STEM, at least my complaint, is that it ignores the humanities. So you just turn these people into tech bros.
Oh yeah, they have no common sense
at all. Film. Yeah, I don't know, dance and film songs. Well, this is the songs, which is ballet.
Why would we need such things? I don't know, because you want to kill yourself.
Yeah, STEM people are just, they see no future, basically.
I mean, you're talking to somebody whose entire friendship is full of STEM people, right? Like, I think almost all my friends are from STEM. Right. And not all of them, but a majority of them don't understand how other humans work whatsoever. They're all about logic and reason, calculations. I'm like, people aren't calculations, okay? A plus B does not equal Y, okay? We're complicated.
All right, there's.
Yeah. But this has been Alton here from the Netherlands, and of course Roger from the West Coast of the United States, as we tie up another positive news story on Good News Day. And I hope you feel a little better about being alive on the planet, because I do. I'm happy to hear all the education that's getting funded and helicopters that are saving people, hopefully soon, saving people in Ukraine, and that train, the Eurostar, running back to London, at least for a couple weeks until it leaves and then comes back again. We'll see you tomorrow for some Wacky and Weird Wednesday. We'll be covering the wacky and weird news that's going on around the world. I've already have all my stories because I found so many wacky stories just today. But I'll look tomorrow to see if there's anything else happening. And make sure you're subscribed to the Ali and Raj channel if you'd like to see more and see that episode. Turn on those notifications, like this video, and comment down below which one of our segues was the best. Was it bad pun? Was it the personal story? Was it the non sequitur? Anyways, let's go.
And make your own. Make your own. You're
Yeah.
invited to make your own. Anyway.
Yeah, you can also play the game. No one's saying you can. You can do that in the live.
We'll have the home version real soon. We're gonna have the home version available for
home version.
No, we're not.
All right.
Anyway.
Let me make sure this mic drop's ready. Okay. Without further ado, let's end the show with our mic drop moment.
The great John Prine.
In the city. And me and Loretta
Nice and calming. For a positive, use this as a meditative point.
This is all about shut-in visitation day.
A life of their own, and left us alone. John and Linda live in Omaha, and Joe is somewhere on the road. And we lost Davy in the Korean War, and I still don't know what for. It don't matter anymore. You know that old trees just grow stronger, and old rivers grow wilder every day. Old people just grow lonesome, waiting for someone to say hello in there. Hello.
Not much to say.
No, it's really sad. I mean, the song really encapsulates how sad it is to be a shut-in and alone.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're a STEM student, you never see music like this because it evokes emotions.
And that's why a lot of people turn to music
kind of redundant.
when they're alone too, because they feel like they're not alone when somebody is talking about the things they're going through.
She sits and stares through the back door screen, and all the news just repeats itself like some forgotten dream that we both sing. Someday I'll go and call up Rudy. We work together at the factory. But what can I say? If he asks what's new? Nothing, what's with you?
Yep.
Nothing much to do. You know that old trees just grow stronger, and old rivers grow wilder.
The guitar really makes it even more sad. Like a crying guitar.
Yeah, the weepy slide guitar.
Yeah.
Waiting for someone to say hello in there. Hello.
Well, you can. I don't know if you faded it yet.
But we're still going. I'll let you know.
Bow and bass, you don't see that often.
Yep. A bass solo even.
So if you're out walking down the street sometime,
be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.